North Idaho College proudly presents NIC Today, an informational news magazine that highlights the people, programs, and campus life at North Idaho College and the surrounding community. And now, your host and moderator, President of North Idaho College, Dr. Joe Dunlap.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to NIC Today. This is the program that brings you the people and programs that make up North Idaho College. Well, today we're very fortunate because I have all four of my VPs with us today, and sometimes it's tough to corral them all at one time. I've got Chris Martin, who is here, and Chris is the Vice President for Finance and Business Affairs. We have Dr. Lita Burns, who's Vice President of Instruction. We've got Graydon Stanley, who is Vice President of Student Services. And then, as usual, we have Vice President Mark Browning, who is our Vice President for Community, Government Relations, and Marketing. So welcome to the program. And Chris, let's start with you. One of your primary responsibilities includes budgeting. And right now, the college is in the process of developing its budget for next year. So can you talk us through a little bit about where we are in the process and what you think is going to happen with this next year's budget?
Absolutely. It's been a fun couple of months as we worked on the budget for this fiscal year. Always an exciting time. I know my colleagues, this is their favorite time of year, budget season. But the college really did well in securing funds from the legislature this year, and that has really been a cornerstone of the budget. And so as we go forward, we're in the process now of meeting with trustees individually, sharing with them the details of the budget so that they're prepared as we go into the budget hearings. And we'll have our first budget hearing at the next board meeting in April, and then our final one in May at the board meeting. So the board will vote on the budget. And as we propose the budget at this time, there's no proposed tax increase and no tuition increase for in-district students. And so my colleagues and their teams and really all across campus, it's been a full effort to try to make sure that we're being good stewards with taxpayer resources and really managing the tuition increase for students. And so at this time, we're real excited to present the budget to the board.
And this is the fourth year in a row that we have not recommended an increase in taxes, so congratulations on that. Chris, can you talk a little bit about the funding that was secured from the legislature this year and what that means to the college?
Absolutely. A large chunk of that was for occupancy costs for the new career and technical education facility, and that was over $600,000. And that allows the college to move into this facility and really make sure that it's taken care of, that we have the resources necessary to operate the facility. And since the district provided the funds for the actual capital construction, the state legislature supported us with the occupancy costs. So that was a very large portion of our appropriation this year. Another piece of that was $133,000 for support of Complete College Idaho, which will help us with retention efforts as well as with transition efforts between high school students and then transitioning into college. And so that's a really great program. We're really excited to see that come together here in North Idaho. The other piece that was a large portion of the appropriation was a 3% change in employee compensation recommended by the governor's office that helps secure funding for employee raises and steps.
Chris, it's hard to boil the budget down even into a 30-minute program. I mean, there's so many elements that make up all the detailed layers, but one of the challenges that the college has had is there's been a lot of external things that have come cost-wise, because we look at it, as a citizen living in Kootenai County, you go, well, enrollment's been down a little bit. It's good you've been able to hold the property tax rate even, and it's great that we're not going to propose a rate increase to the in-district students, but other factors that are coming in, and what comes to mind for me is benefit costs. Health insurance costs are all over the board, and that is something that I believe your office finds, boy, that's a challenge every year, is trying to balance that cost increase, because there's an increase that comes every year, correct?
That's a huge increase. And of course, the majority of our budget is made up of personnel and personnel costs. And so a large portion of that is the health care costs of employees. And so that's something that we plan for every year. We have traditionally planned for a double-digit increase in healthcare costs. And this year, we're in the same place at looking at a 12.1% increase in healthcare costs. We also operate a large footprint. And so another thing that we watch really closely is what's going on with proposed rate increases for utilities, which also has a large impact on our budget. But those things absolutely are a big part of that. They come every single year, and benefit costs being a real key part of that mix.
It's not always so simple, too, of an equation that says, well, if a traditional business would look at it and say, well, if my revenue's down 5%, I got to cut 5% on the operating side. I'll do that through personnel or whatever it might be. You just don't go out and cut 17% of an instructor in a classroom. That classroom size is like an accordion, and when we grow, we don't really increase all that much, the number of instructors and faculty in there, and it doesn't come the other. It's a hard concept for a lot of folks to get a hold of to understand how that works, but you guys have to really be flexible in how you work that accordion.
Well, instruction has been really supportive this year, and we spent a lot of time looking at our adjunct costs. And over the last couple of years, this has been an area that is very elastic, and it allows us to manage these increases, as well as the declining enrollment, to make sure that we're meeting students' needs in the classroom. And so a key piece of that is looking at our adjuncts and how we're utilizing adjuncts across disciplines, as well as looking at attrition and just managing attrition over time. Do we really need to replace this instructor in this particular discipline, or are we seeing growth in another discipline? And really making sure we're looking at this strategically from the top, not looking at it in individual pieces, if you will.
Yeah.
Chris, thanks very much. And you've been doing a great job on managing the construction out at the Career and Technical Education Facility. It's on time, it's on budget, and will be open in the fall. So thank you for taking care of that.
Thank you.
Let me divert the attention to Graydon Stanley now, who is our Vice President for Student Services. He's responsible for all of those support services that encourage students to be successful. That includes registration, financial aid, applications to the college, student leadership, and that sort of thing. Now, Graydon, you've been responsible for working with students to develop a new student wellness and recreation center. Why don't you tell us about that, and then tell us when the groundbreaking is going to be?
Absolutely, would love to. The students, and I think all the campus and the community is really excited about what's happening that way. For folks who have been around for a long time, they know that effort's been in place for not just the last couple of years, but in fact probably the last 10 to 12 years, that students have come forward to the college and said, we'd really like to have this facility, a wellness and recreation center. Didn't happen up until about a year ago, when the students again put together a proposal, had great support from across the campus and in the community, and presented that to the board. The board in fact supported that. The students, of course, are taxing themselves in that issue. Again, it's not taxpayer dollars, it's not general fund dollars, it's not coming from any other place than the students saying this is an important facility for us. And so we're willing to increase our fees and have those dedicated to the construction and operation of a wellness and recreation center. So they've been very excited ever since that was approved by the board, and moving it forward. It's been an incredibly collaborative effort of people across campus here, from the students to the staff to some people from off campus, working together with an architect, and they've developed a fabulous plan. I know most of us have had a chance to see some of the preliminary plans. It's exciting. It's a beautiful building, and we just can't wait to be able to break the ground. That is coming up, Joe, May 4th. In fact, at 11:30, we'll be having a groundbreaking. Certainly would like to invite everybody out there. We'll be celebrating the turning up of that dirt, and getting the project started, with the idea that facility would be available for occupancy, for use in the fall semester of 2017. So very excited about that.
Graydon, talk a little bit about how wellness centers for students work in terms of recruiting and retaining students. We see, a lot of institutions across the country really use these as a recruiting tool. How does that work more than this is just a place for students to go work out?
Yeah, it's incredible in so many ways, and it even goes beyond the students, Mark. I think for employees, certainly one of our initiatives here is employee wellness as well.
Back to the cost of healthcare.
Yeah, and that plays right into that as well. So that was one of the things that was absent on our campus. Often as we had groups visit our campus here and they'd been other places, they would ask, where's your wellness and recreation center? And in fact, we didn't have that. And so with the culture of our students, what they're used to, what they'd like, they were saying this is something that we need on our campus. And so for the current students, the ones who are here now and won't be here when it's completed, they're a little sad, but they'll certainly be welcome back to this facility. For prospective students, it's so exciting now when they come onto our campus to say, listen, in fall of 2017, we're going to have this new facility. So we use it as an attraction. It just rounds out our campus. We have some great instructional facilities. We are located in such a beautiful area, and one of the things that we were missing was this wellness and recreation center. The setting is, as we all know, nobody can match that either. You can be in that wellness and recreation center. Nothing makes you feel much better than to look out the windows, maybe when you're sweating it up and seeing the river and seeing the lake and seeing the trees, that we're so blessed to be in an area like this.
Well, speaking of settings and being active, the Outdoor Pursuits program here at North Idaho College is renowned, not only here in the Northwest, but certainly throughout the country for the types of not only activities that are available to them, but the type of training that students can get in relationship to those activities. And one of the things that they do on an annual basis is a backcountry skiing adventure. Now, it's more than just making some great turns in powder, but it's also learning about backcountry rescue and first aid. Let's take a look.
Well, you gotta go up quad, and then you push over to Snow Gust, and then just glide down to Idle T-Bar. From T-Bar, you take a left up at the top where you get off. You just come down to this little saddle. We're not shy. Not at all. And from the saddle, you gotta hike all the way up. I don't know. How many vertical feet do you think?
I don't know.
600?
5.
500 or 600 feet, vertical feet. Hike up, and then you gotta traverse over a little bit. And then you're here. My name's Ben Johnson. I've never really been a park rider. I've always liked to go on the groomers and haul ass. I've been boarding and skiing since I was about 3 or 4. So I've been up here about 14 years.
I've been, I've known how to ride. I've been riding since I was 4 years old. But I played hockey, so I didn't really get to go up too much. Take 1 step forward, 2 steps back. I've been riding about 2 years hardcore. I do a little park, you know. I like the backcountry though. No people, no lines. Beautiful when it's nice and sunny, panoramic views. I like to go out, build jumps, freaking just tear it up and test myself.
If you started right about where that tree is, it'll shoot you out to there.
I mean, it's probably about, I don't know, 50 feet out.
What if you went up higher, it threw you to like a little bit higher than that tree?
So this is gonna throw, I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, I'll be guinea pig this time.
I'm gonna pile some snow up there, just make a little transition. Basically, you just want something, you know, good snow, pack it up, make it good. I don't know. Any jump's a good backcountry jump.
So pretty much you take your cool ski, your mantra, take it in here, be like an old lumberjack and saw your way down slowly, and if it's hard, just chop at it. Just keep on going. all the way down. You can do it on the other side too. Do it on a really long chunk. Then you take your shovel, you go up here, get rid of your first like 3 or 4 inches because it's crap. And then just chunk it out. Nice hard pack stuff. That's it.
There we go, dude. I think we're ready.
We got a lot of stuff left. What the hell happened to that? Yeah! I'm gonna start out with a slow rotation 360. And then probably around 130-ish, I'm gonna start trying to pull off the double backflips.
Yeah! Oh, nice!
I got mad air. I should land on my head, but I'm gonna try landing on my feet. Oh. So, hopefully my neck breaks my fall. Oh!
I guess I hit my head on the lip or something. I saw myself coming around. I was in the air, just had my landing spot and everything, and I just wasn't rotating enough.
You hit your head against the lip like I did.
Did I?
Yeah? How's your face?
All right.
How's your back?
Ow.
Neck?
I didn't feel too good.
That is good.
My skis came down and popped right out and landed on my head, but it's a good thing it's powder because it doesn't make it hurt as bad. Well, Ben, we came and we kind of conquered.
Dude, by the end of this year, I'll have that double. I think you will.
I wish you could have heard the collective groan around the table as that last young man didn't quite complete the flip that he was looking at. But great piece and a reminder of the wonderful country that we live in. And maybe if you're a little more advanced in years and experience, you don't try some of those things at this age as you did when you were younger, but we're glad they do. And congratulations to Philippe Val and his program. They just recently returned from another national competition with another bevy of awards to their credit. So they do some great work, and it's been fun to watch. But Joe, I would suspect that maybe in retirement that's not on your list to go out and launch yourself off with some of those?
Not anymore. Maybe when I was younger, I used to think I could do that.
Exactly.
Well, next up, we've got Dr. Lita Burns, our Vice President for Instruction, and she's responsible for all of our instructional programs, both for credit and non-credit. What I wanted to talk about today is a process this institution has recently gone through called institutional optimization. So Lita, can you tell us a little bit about that program, what was involved, and what the outcome and future is for that? Now, I know it was a painful exercise for some, but the institution will be much stronger in the long run.
Thank you, Joe. Yes, I'd be happy to talk about institutional optimization. We've been in the process actually for about a couple of years, about 2 years ago, looking at what the future was for North Idaho College and realizing that in terms of increased sources of revenue, that was extremely limited for North Idaho College. We knew that getting more funds from state funds was probably going to be limited. We knew that there was not an appetite for increasing tuition for our students, and certainly local taxation, we like to keep that as minimal, if not increase that at all. So as we want to grow and we want to sustain the excellence in education and student success that occurs at North Idaho College, we really thought about what it would take to look at reallocation internally to make sure that we had the resources necessary to accomplish the goals we intended to accomplish. So out of that came institutional optimization, and it was a process by which we underwent a institutional self-evaluation. So all the programs at this institution that received resources, either fiscal resources, physical resources, or human resources, were required to engage in an evaluation process. And that culminated last fall. In late October, all these reports had to be in. We had actually 151 reports submitted. That was followed by an extensive evaluation of the reports. We had 3 reviewers review the reports based on a rubric. We trained people from across campus. I think we had close to 90 reviewers, trained people from across campus to review these reports, to score them. And based on the scoring of them, the programs were then ranked into 5 different quintiles. At that point then, the reports were turned over to the President's Cabinet, and President's Cabinet also had an opportunity to review all the reports. And based on President's Cabinet review, we came out with some recommendations. To start with, we had 11 different areas that we named as institutional recommendations. So that ranged all the way from information technology to how we look at data and how we use data to inform our decision making, utilization of space, scheduling, that sort of thing, academic and student support, large variety of areas that we looked at that the President's Cabinet offered recommendations on. In addition, the programs also received comments from President's Cabinet. Many of them received recommendations in terms of looking at areas that they could improve on. Many of the programs received commendations. So the whole idea was really to identify programs that were serving the mission well at North Idaho College, and then also to look at programs that might not be serving the mission and the core values of the institution. And as we looked at those programs that did not seem to maybe be meeting the marks as well in terms of meeting those mission and goals and core values, we wanted to look at to see why they weren't. Was it because the institution wasn't investing enough in those programs? Was it because we simply didn't have a need for those programs anymore, or that things had changed enough that there were better and newer ways of doing things related to certain programs? So that's where we are at this point. We're asking the programs now to really look at those recommendations, to offer back to President's Cabinet how they plan to address the recommendations that they were asked to address. The institution also has just completed a community-wide survey, college community survey, on the institutional optimization process, and we will use that survey then to make decisions about how we go forward with institutional optimization. We hope that this process will really help to inform us about how we wisely use the dollars, very much connected and related to the budgeting process for the future, and how we determine programs that we need and how we want to build on certain programs for the institution.
Self-evaluation and being introspective like that is often really difficult to do, even at a college campus where we'd like to think that we understand this stuff, we know how to do. How difficult was it, or how challenging was it to get people across the campus to understand this is not a witch hunt where we're looking to eliminate a program or an arm, but rather how we can be better at what we're doing, which is to provide opportunities for students?
Mark, I would tell you that actually probably is an ongoing process. Certainly when we started out down the pathway of institutional optimization, our goal was really to help people understand that this was different than the program prioritization that occurred in our state in terms of really wanting to eliminate programs. This was more about understanding the programs that we have, how they serve the institution. That message was a difficult message to get out. It seemed like no matter how we tried to communicate that, it didn't always get to everyone's ears, and they didn't necessarily hear it in the manner that we wanted to deliver it. And even today, I would say that we still are continuing to try to communicate that well. This is about how we can be better, how we can be stronger, how we can grow as an institution, and not necessarily just all about cutting. Now, the reality is that if we want to continue to grow, we can't continue to have and offer everything we have. And so eventually it probably will be about eliminating some things or doing things differently. But that's the message we want to hear, and certainly I expect that we'll get some feedback on that in the survey that we receive back, and we will want to continue to discuss that as an institution.
One of the things that as we wrap up here is, I can't remember if it was you, Joe, or if it was you, Lita, in a meeting, but you said, look at the programs that we've offered in the past and the things that we did at that time that were absolutely crucial that would just seem silly to be doing now. And I think the example, I can't remember which one to give you credit, so I'll say it was both, but it was watchmaking and repair. Mm-hmm. And I look at it now, and our generation, we wear watches, but how many don't? And the idea of making and repairing that, we have to adapt and change, and that's what it's all about.
Well, that's a good perspective. If you look over the history of community colleges, the programs have come and some have gone, and I'll give you some other examples. Many colleges used to have printing and binding programs when the written word and books were more important than things like electronic books. We used to have typewriter repair programs.
That's right.
And now people don't even know what a typewriter is. And there is one college I'm familiar with that used to have a saddle making program, and there wasn't much demand for that anymore. So this is just the ebb and flow that comes with the normal offerings that are based on demand and how we best serve business and industry. Well, listen, I want to thank my VPs today. This is a real pleasure for me. This is the best team I've ever worked with, and I want to thank Lita and Chris and Graydon and Mark for being here, and thank all of you for joining us and learning a little bit more about the programs here at North Idaho College.